like to introduce themselves? So,
Hi, sir. My name is Viren.
yeah,
I'm
hi,
from
Viren.
Mumbai, and right now I'm teaching in an IB school here in Mulund.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not teaching exactly. I'm learning with higher grade kids of grade
Mm-hmm.
9 and 10, and I'm doing maths and science right now. But
Okay.
this idea of learning, education, and coming up with different things which are more human in nature rather than artificial, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
reason. So I'm sort of in contact with you guys via the WhatsApp group. One of
Okay.
my colleagues sort of suggested me to join that group, and I read the
Mm-hmm.
title that you should consider open learning, so I thought of joining. Yeah,
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining in.
yeah.
Okay. Anybody else would like to introduce themselves?
Hi, this is Akila here, and I think I joined last week too.
Right, Akila.
Yeah, so we are trying to. We just want to learn more about open learning,
Mm-hmm.
and since it is about since it is by parents who already experienced it, we would like to hear from them this
Sure,
session.
sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Hi. Hi.
Yeah.
This is Brinda here. Brinda and Vishal from Pune. So
yeah,
actually, we came to know of Aarohi through one of our friends. They're already doing unschooling in Pune. There's this whole group of kids who does unschooling here,
sure,
and we
sure.
have seen those kids, and we were like pretty much impressed by the way they see life and their light, the way they handle things, and overall.
Mm-hmm.
So, and our daughter, we have our elder daughter, she's 7.5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And thing is, I also did some reading on open learning and unschooling, homeschooling, all sorts of material,
Sure.
whatever is available, plus through these friends whom I'm already in contact with.
Mm-hmm.
So, the reason why we are interested is, first of all, what we understand is our daughter, whatever creativity and potential she has, we don't want that to be kind of limited with the traditional schooling. So earlier
Okay.
also when she was going to start her KG, we had explored unschooling, not unschooling exactly, but Waldorf method. But then
Mm-hmm.
we were not pretty convinced with that at that point in time. So we didn't opt for any Waldorf preschool. And
Okay.
now I think probably we are ready for this. Only thing is what I'm looking for in today's webinar is my husband is partially convinced, not fully convinced. So if he can understand about, what is the difference and the potential, the future, because what
Sure,
comes up in our mind as doubt is like, when the kid grows up, what next? Is
sure,
it like,
sure,
is this particular kind of learning accepted overall, or is it like understood by people outside? That's the major concern.
sure. We'll talk about that in detail. Yeah, yeah. Super.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Brinda. Okay. Would anybody else like to share about themselves? A quick introduction. Some of the names are common. I've seen you here before in our earlier webinars. Some are new. Okay. No issues. We can always.
My son wants to say hi. Sorry.
Yes. Yes, please.
Say hi.
Hi. That's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a very nice hi. We don't have to say hi. We can look hi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sorry if I can. I just wanted to add one more thing. Sorry to
Sure,
interrupt.
Brinda. Sure.
But yeah, today, what major takeaway we also want is to understand how we can enroll our daughter for the ROEX program for at least a month. So we also get a flavor of open learning. And then
Sure.
accordingly, we can decide whether we can put her for open learning full time.
Sure. We can talk about
Sure.
that
Thank you.
also.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks.
Right. So today's webinar we've named as Consider Open Learning, and we believe that everybody should at least consider. I'm not saying everybody should take up open learning, but they can at least consider that, oh, there's an option. Most of us think that whatever conventional schooling is the only way of living or learning. So my invitation to the whole world is, hey, at least consider this. Whether you take it up or not, or in what form you take it up, is absolutely your wish. So to begin that, so what I'm going to do is I'm doing a quick introduction. Some of you who have been here before would have seen this introduction. So I'll run through a quick 10-minute introduction to open learning and a little bit about Aarohi, couple of minutes about Aarohi. And then we will jump into a lot of discussions based on what your thoughts are and so on. Keeping the theme, this consider word as the theme for today. So before I start, I'm just clarifying through this slide that there are many terms as you were mentioning: unschooling, homeschooling, preschooling, open learning, etc., etc. The name doesn't matter, whatever name you want to give it. The point is that learning is like a continuum. On one side, you have the very structured, curriculum-driven, teacher-driven, conventional schooling. And then on the other extreme is the complete open learning, where there's no curriculum, no structure. Rather, the child decides and the child creates his or her own structure. And you can be anywhere in between. Some people add little structure, some people add more structure, some people reduce, some people do something for a couple of years and move back and forth. So all of the permutations, combinations are absolutely fine. And that is the whole idea, right? You see what suits you and your child. That's where it starts. Or rather, that's how it goes, actually. Okay, so where we started is we started our journey by asking this question: what is the purpose of education? And somehow the answer appeared, at least by the world, that okay, it's about learning, or even more specific, about earning, about getting a career. And somehow we didn't like that answer. For us, education is about living. In fact, we say it is synonymous. Living and learning and education, all these are synonyms. And if these are synonyms, then what it translated in, for at least for us, is the child should just lead himself or herself for his or her life, because it's his or her life. We are there as parents or adults or guides, but finally it's the child's life, and the child should really lead it. So when we start thinking of the child as responsible for his or her life, as the leader of his or her life, which incidentally the child in very early years is a 1, 2, 3-year-old is a very strong leader of himself or herself, deciding what to do, what next to do, and so on. So when we think of a child in terms of a leader, 4 thoughts come to our mind as basis of open learning. The first one is, hey, we don't need to bind the child with a curriculum. The child can literally decide what the child wants to learn, when the child wants to learn, how the child wants to learn, and so on. And if the child is deciding what the child wants to learn, and the child is also deciding how to learn, then we don't really need to teach the child. Yeah, the child can figure out whether the child needs a teacher, whether the child needs a course, whether the child wants to just do and learn and explore, and so on. So the child can evolve this as the child goes on in a particular area. If we put these two together, that the child is deciding what, how, when, from whom, with whom, and so on, then there is no need to assess the child, no need to run the child through exams and tests. I don't think any one of us likes exams and tests, or even like anybody else to assess us. But what we all do invariably is we do reflect on a daily basis. In the same way, if we can invite the child, which the child is actually already doing, we don't even need to invite the child. We just need to engage the child in this whole business of assessing, reflecting, giving each other feedback, and kind of being co-travelers, And if we are leaving the child to lead himself, even in terms of understanding how am I learning, what am I learning, how well I want to learn, what next I need to do, then it's not necessary that we go the school college degree way. One can lead and live one's life in many different ways, through apprenticeships, through internships, through open, by doing open courses. And if required, wherever needed, the child can get into degrees. So, but that should be like options, not like mandatory. At least that's what we think. So that is a quick introduction to what we think is open learning. Essentially, the child structuring his own life. So it's not an unstructured life, it's a very structured life, but it's structured by the child, obviously with help of parents and other adults and peers and so on. Yeah. So just to give you a quick flavor, I'll play a small video of some of the children and adults at Aarohi, how they respond to this question as to what is your life. This video, incidentally, is made by one of the Aarohi children.
Connecting with people is amazing.
I like chit-chatting with my friends while eating.
An opportunity to take all the guests around the tour, around the campus.
Currently, I'm working on improving myself so I can play in a club next year.
I get resources and support to fulfill my passion for sketching.
I sketch many things of animals, birds.
In Aarohi, I am a guest and I can find my space here, pursuing my interest on upcycling.
I drum to express my emotion and it makes me feel lighter. In bird watching, I learn a lot of things. What is color of bird, and
I like the time when I spend with the community playing sports.
I spend time doing projects related to cinematography and video editing.
I like organizing trips in Aarohi, kyunki your opportunity is to organize trips.
video making is awesome. It's productive and you get an awesome outcome.
I like to do electrical work. I've put many.
I connect with the planning here, gives me clarity.
I like playing with the cats. I learn crochet and teach others crochet.
எனக்கு சமைக்கிறதுக்கு இங்க ரொம்ப பிடிக்கும்.
All the resources here are new to me to explore.
Okay, so that was a quick video to show different people doing different things in Aarohi based on what it interests them. Now, we've been talking about open learning. Let me quickly, in a couple of minutes, bring in the Aarohi part to it. So what Aarohi has done is, Aarohi is considered is that other than open learning, what is very, very interesting and wonderful is if we add a community to it. So if we are just doing it ourselves, yes, that's great. But if we can have more families together, more people together, then this whole journey of learning, living, growing is so amazing, because not only, there's a saying, it takes a whole village to raise a child, which means I as a child get to interact with so many different people of so many different ages. Then I make my own connections. I connect with whomever I like to. So again, it's not divided by age or by anything, but by my interests. And I then collaborate with whomever I want to collaborate. So there are lots of different collaborations that happens. And obviously, when you are in a group, there is a lot of coaching, supporting, guiding each other. And this doesn't need to be only adult to child. It could be child to child, even child to adult, and so on. So Aarohi is a community of families who are exploring this journey of open learning. So if that's the simplest way to define Aarohi. Right now, we have two choices for people. You can be part of our campus if you want to be. So you can come and stay at the campus, and we all live together and learn together. Or we can be part of the Aarohi X, which is X stands for extended to people's home, because you could be in different cities, but still you may want to be connected to all the families. So we are very closely connected online, and we do a lot of stuff, as in groups do a lot of different stuff together, collaborate, connect with each other, do stuff together. The whole idea is that we kind of be together, this whole idea of co-creation, co-learning, co-supporting, co-living. So it's families who come together and connect with each other. So that's Aarohi for you. I will go into more details based on whatever are your questions. So that was a quick introduction to open learning and Aarohi. What I want to do today is I want to look at what could make you. So now it's more about you talking. What could make you consider open learning, or what could even make you not consider open learning? Both the views are equally important, and the idea is to discuss them, yeah, and try to bring in different views of different people who are present here, yeah. So we can start with your thoughts. It could be in the form of a question, or it could be even in the form of, hey, this is the reason I would like to consider open learning, or this is the reason which is holding me back, kind of not considering open learning. So, yeah, we can start our discussion. Yeah, please go ahead. You can come on mic and ask a question, or if you prefer chat, that's also fine. Not just questions, any thoughts. Why would you like to? Okay, so let's start with, why would some of you like to consider open learning? Let's start with that, and then we'll come to the not consider ones. What are your reasons to consider open learning?
Hi, this is Sakila here.
Yeah, Akila.
Yeah, I would like to consider open learning for my kids because they will have their own way of learning things, and they are not forced to learn certain thing in a certain way. They have their own they will have their own creative ways to learn a certain thing, certain concept or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's the main reason.
Okay, sure. More people, more thoughts.
Yeah, in my view, oh, sorry, you can go ahead, Meera.
No, it's okay.
Okay, cool. So in my view, I see that it's a more natural form of learning rather than an artificial form of learning, which I generally see in traditional system, which is sort of divided into lectures and then you go, which has more to do with remembering things. So this is definitely not that. Rather, it's experience based. It's a more natural way of learning, and I would say experiential maybe is the term I can use here, along with natural way of learning maybe. That's why I would
Okay.
probably consider. And another aspect, the most important aspect maybe, is the cooperation, because it's not based on assessing anyone. It helps in building relationships because of the cooperation. So it's a great part maybe. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, somebody else was on mic. Prashant is saying in chat, to understand another way to learn. Yeah, Prashant, but I would like you to go one step deeper and say, why are you interested in this open learning? Yes, you can explore and then choose between the two, or between the many options. Actually, they're not just two, there are many options. But what attracts you towards open learning is what I would like to hear. Yeah, meanwhile, somebody was on the mic.
Yeah, hi, this is Vrinda here.
Yeah,
and in
Vrinda.
fact, I would just like to echo that particular phrase of the natural way of learning. So what I understand so far is that this is something inherently we would, as humans, learn things, and that we actually get mechanized in the other forms of learning. So that is one major reason. Other thing is even to do with my daughter. So because of my daughter, I have started understanding and learning the different approaches which actually work with her. So for me, it's more my kid-centric and kid-specific. So it's about that. And I feel this echoes with my needs and with my daughter's needs very well.
Yeah. So you are saying needs are different of each child, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So there, that's it. Thank you.
Sure, Brinda. Somebody else wants to share?
Hello, this is Andrea here.
Yes, Andrea.
Yeah, we just want to explore open learning just because today we see a lot of rat race and a lot of competition. And then even my elder daughter, she's 11-year-old and she's going to some school. And then we see a lot of competitive spirit. Even at home, we are not talking about any competition, but in kids, naturally it is seen. So we just want to explore a cooperative way of learning than a competitive form of learning. So that's one reason. And then second reason would be of experiential learning and participatory learning methods that homeschooling or unschooling, whatever it is, that we try to adopt through this. So these are the two reasons for us to think about open learning. And the challenges that we see is about their future. As we have just started to explore the concept. So we are just worried about, as all the other parents, we are also worried about what will happen to their future. What if they don't have a degree and all that stuff. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Right. So we can build also on each other's thoughts. So please go ahead and, if you are also thinking of something which somebody else has shared.
This is Vishal here. So I think
Vishal.
my question was only around, this community, as you rightly mentioned, community is like growing. So definitely they are much less numbered than the community which is more mechanized the way it has been there. So my only apprehension and thinking thought was that what will happen when these kids will be with ultimately the larger number of blocks, which are more mechanized way of education is going on, how they will cope up with that challenge in the future, how we are making them ready in this education system so they can ultimately mingle with them, because in this way of education versus the other way.
Okay. Would anybody like to respond to that? So we have two things. One is what if they do not have a degree, and the other thought, let me see how I summarize it, is that how do they, are you saying mingle with the other world or whatever, work with them or be with them?
Mingle, or how they, because I'm just thinking that there are because other kids are also kids and they're also learning in the way whatever they got. And even some of the parents like what we are exploring now are unschooling, open schooling, but in the real world there will be time come when they will merge together, right? So how they will not be come out as a of a different thought altogether, so they won't able to gel well, and they will become into their own small community only, so they become secluded with the real world.
Okay, sure. Would anybody like to respond to any of these two?
I mean, the concern that I hear from him, and I share that, is that it should not be they get outcasted in, because the number of people who are going through this regular schooling would be obviously much higher, but the number of people from this open learning could be quite limited, and then trying to gel with the majority will have a question. I have this degree, I don't have this degree, I was first class, and those angles might be few reasons why they might feel, in some way or the other, outcasted. So that's one way to look at it.
Sure.
I have one more concern. This is Andrea here. So it's about the science and mathematical concepts. So how can we make them learn it through experiential or participatory learning at home? So not when they are in younger classes, but when they go to higher classes. So where do we find materials for those, or all that? I have queries on that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still waiting. Somebody would like to respond to any of these with a different view, meaning if you are also looking for similar thoughts, then that's okay, but somebody who has a different view.
Yeah, I think I can respond to the first two at least for sure, and maybe being a math and science teacher, I can respond to the last one also.
Okay.
My assumption right now is, since I've not gone through the experience, but I've looked at it, and the view I have built in my mind is that even if we are less in numbers, and but if we are learning in a cooperative way, naturally, even when these kids will go and gel up with other kids, by nature they would like to cooperate with them. So apart from the idea that I have this degree or that degree, I don't think so they will face a challenge in terms of gelling with them. Second thought around here is that the view in traditional system is that if you are a better competitor and if you're better than others, then you are a good student, or otherwise you are a poor student, right? And out of, let's say, even I have 40 kids in my class, I will have hardly 5 kids whom I would look up to and say these are my good students in terms of competition. But when I am with my friend circle, even today, I don't remember talking to them about numbers and degrees more, rather I still prefer to talk to them about my life, my relationships, what I'm going through, my experiences. And my assumption that many of the kids do that, since I'm a teacher and I live with them. So I don't see a problem them being outcasted or even on the basis of degree or something. And about maths and science, being a maths and science teacher and being a student myself, when I cleared my grade 10 and 12 and also got a degree in physics itself, I started really learning and exploring these things when I wanted to. And there are, of course, some teachers who inspired me on my way, but I never learned seriously till the time I never wanted to. And I see that with today's kids also, especially when they have gaming and many other options and explorations which they want to do. So they don't learn unless and until they really want to learn it. Maybe they'll just learn to pass the examination and show
Right.
it to someone that, see, I have this and I've scored that much. It's more of a voluntary thing. But again, these are my perceptions, and I can be wrong completely here.
Sure, sure. Okay. Uh, okay. Okay. Let me also share a few thoughts. So, yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. If I have a question, like if a kid wants to specialize him in specific some, one of the rare skill set. So how much of guidance he can get in open learning?
Can you give me an example?
Okay. An example.
When you say rare something, what say something? Say what do you want? What do you one example of what the kid could be wanting to specialize in? Will you call fashion designing as
astrophysics, something like that?
okay.
Astrophysics or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So how much of guidance he can get through open learning?
Sure, sure, sure.
So, and where can he look for guidance?
Okay, okay, okay. So let's start with the first one. What if they do not have a degree? Um, in fact, I would say, yeah. What if they don't have a degree? How does that matter? Does it really matter? Does it really matter in today's world? Uh, the first thought that comes to my mind is that we look at degree as something that will help us get what? A job. Okay, that's number one. uh, what if I don't want a job? What if I just can do things which I want to do instead of being part of a company, right? I can be a freelancer, I can be an entrepreneur, I can be or I can even do something which doesn't even require a degree, right? Which more requires a domain knowledge. I can even get a job, in fact, even though I don't have a degree, simply because I have um, I have gained that expertise. You know, one of the issues I find with degrees is that they take an awful lot of time. They're very inefficient. You know, you have to do 10th, you have to do 12th, you have to do graduation, you have to do post graduation. How much is that? 2 plus 2 plus whatever, 3 plus another 2. right? So that's almost 9 years. So anything between 7 to 9 years, you are going to spend getting a degree. Yeah. Now, somebody was just introduced at the beginning of today's webinar as a chef. Now tell me, do I get a degree in becoming a chef, or in 9 years, I can actually bake and cook and experiment so much uh, that I can become a real expert in baking? Let's take astrophysics, for example. What if I'm interested in physics? What if I'm interested in astrophysics? What if I go deep into astrophysics for 5 years, not by any college, but by myself, and with groups and courses online and YouTube and books and so many things. Uh, I interact with a lot of people and I go deep into astrophysics. You think I will know in 5 years more than somebody who's just doing a degree? So the interesting thing is that we have somehow assuming that a degree is a passport to, I don't know what, earning, job, or a happy life. I don't know. I'm saying it could be other way around. It could be completely other way around. I could be happier. I could get a better job, I would say, in today's world. I could be more excited, more of an expert in a field, if I were to actually not go run behind a degree, but actually go deep into whatever is that interesting things. And I have a lot of examples. I have examples of 14 years old who are already trading on stock exchange just because they have completely deep dived into how the stock market works, how the technical analysis happens. So there is one child, he's just turning 15 now, and he's already trading at a stock exchange. There's another child who is already designing software for companies, simply because 2 3 years back or 4 years back, he deep dived into programming. He started with programming, small Lego robots, and then went into deeper into programming. And now he is coding. He has actually designed the Bangalore bus service app. Yeah, one of the things that he has done. Now, I can give you so many such examples of where people have gone deep into it, and now they are in demand simply because they've gone deep into it. My own daughter is 22 years. She has obviously not gone to any college, no 10th, 12th, but she has gone deep into, designing and creating and experimenting with personal care products, which are organic. And she's so much in demand. People want her to do workshops. People want her to obviously want her products, and so on and so forth, simply because she has invested time into the thing that she likes doing. So when you look at degrees, I would say, yes, degrees have some value. I'm not saying they don't have value, but the same amount of time applied deep into any one thing can reap much more beautiful rewards, including astrophysics or science or maths, if that is what you are looking at, or rather that is what the child is looking at. Yeah, so let me take a pause, because I'm sure there are counter questions and counter thoughts. So let's take that before we move on to this mingle, outcast, real world, numbers are less kind of a point. You can ask me for more examples if you need specific examples. I can give you a lot of examples. Or you can just share, what do you think about looking at it this way? Hey, tomorrow, if I want to recruit somebody, would I recruit somebody who has a degree, or would I recruit somebody who has deep dived into that particular domain, whichever is your domain, and has actually worked on it for maybe the same number of years and has things to show because he has worked on it? Which one would you recruit? Would you go for degree, or would you go for somebody who has actually done it?
So out here, I mean, I can share my personal experience.
Sure.
So here at least not completely open learning, but for example, folks might know that, okay, there are open universities. Just like open learning, we have open universities for which you don't need to go to the real colleges. You just finish your courses and then you appear for the exam. So something which I had done for my graduation. So in my experience, what I felt that, okay, I was always one step behind than the people who had supposedly the real degree, the people who did the real colleges. So I mean, few companies, few countries, they did had those restrictions where even to get into, or even to become eligible to really showcase your knowledge, they actually need a full-fledged degree. They need a full-time education to even be considered for the further rounds of interviews, which is where I was, I mean, I was not even selected. I mean, it is not that I still have a grudge about it. I found other routes which I was able to get through. But in some shape or form, those were some of the hindrances that I experienced myself, compared to the regular college degree to a degree from an open university.
Yeah, so Prashant, one aspect is that you are comparing a degree with another degree. Obviously, then there is a comparison, which is a straight-on comparison. Because if I am a recruiter and there are two degrees, one is from an open course and one is from a certified course, I might possibly go for a certified course. But when we are talking about an open learner, we are not just talking about getting degrees from an open course. We are actually talking about something actually quite different. We're talking about the same amount of time not invested in getting degrees, but in getting expertise in that field. That is what we are talking about. So it's little different, because you are comparing actually two types of apples. One an open university apple, and one is a whatever, a college or a regular university apple. But we are not comparing apples with apples. We are actually comparing apples with oranges. We are saying here is somebody who has not at all gone the degree route. In fact, last Saturday in the same webinar, we had Ravindran, who has not done any degree after 12th, and he's into designing stuff for helicopters and lots of other things he was talking about. So one can, but because he developed that after 12th, he felt it was a waste of time to go into a college. He can rather develop his designing skills by deep diving into whatever he wanted to get into. So I was giving you the example of this 14-year-old who is doing the stock market, for example, or a 15-year-old who is doing now cinematography, right? Both of these have not chosen the college route. Now give them 5 years, right? They would still be 19. But in 5 years, imagine they are only doing that. How much expertise they would have gained by the time, how many projects, how many real examples of real life doing work, actually producing movies or doing stock trading, they would have got in 5 years. Why wouldn't anybody consider them very seriously if they apply for a job? I'm talking that way. So that's what open learning gives. I would say the biggest thing it gives you is time. It gives you all the time to get into what you really want to do. Somehow we don't consider time as an important aspect, but I consider that as because I can see that the huge amount of time they are able to focus on what they really want to do. What do you say?
True. I mean, I agree. I mean, although I don't agree on the fact that I'm comparing one degree with another degree, it is still about the eligibility criteria that certain institutions have kept in place.
Sure enough. I'm not denying that.
Degree will itself, obviously, the person has to be really outstanding to even get through the file, the portfolio of that person has to be really strong. So not a regular portfolio will be able to make a company bend their rules to hire someone who doesn't have, for which they have to get by their rules.
Agree. In the same way, just a regular degree will also not get you a great job if you are way down in your marks or grades or whatever. So to that extent, yes. You see, I totally agree with you. Certain companies will have that kind of a rule.
Right.
Absolutely. I am not denying that certain countries might have, certain companies might have, and so on. Certain people might also have, right? And at the same time, things are changing, Prashant. Things are changing rapidly over the last 10 years. The amount of people who are ready to look at amount of companies who are ready to look at people more based in out of real expertise rather than theoretical degrees.
Right. I mean, just to support your point here, lately people would have seen the tweet from Elon Musk that, okay,
Yes.
don't need a degree to get into my company, right? So, which is what is the new trend that every big company is going for.
Even
They are
Google,
looking for the real talent these days.
absolutely. Even Google has gone on board saying you don't need a degree to come into Google.
Correct.
So yes, absolutely. It's a big shift. It's a big shift also because earlier everybody used to dream about big companies. I will work for that big company, 20 years from now, maybe when we were kids. But in today's world, there are hundreds and thousands of startups and smaller companies which are ready to have energetic people who have the real experience of doing the real work, not just degrees. We have to start from scratch kind of thing. Okay.
So again, these scenarios that I personally had experienced is
Sure.
situations have changed. Now companies are more
Absolutely.
open to look at your portfolio versus your degree to even say hello to you. So now things
Yes.
have changed.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, the onus goes on the parents and the child to have that kind of strong portfolio or profile to be able to get by. Otherwise, if they
Absolutely.
want to get back into the regular stream of these degree holders, that might be again come a little bit challenging.
Sure. And I would also like to challenge the mindset of just jobs. The world is not just made up of jobs. So one aspect is jobs, but I would invite people to also think beyond jobs, think beyond becoming consultants, freelancers, entrepreneurs, and so on. I think when you start taking decisions about your day, your life from very young, from 7-10 years. See, the schooling all the time tells us what to do. So we don't really have to do much. We have to just follow what the teacher or the curriculum or the system says. But when I start thinking about it, when I start leading myself from a very younger age, then as I grow older, I'm able to grasp, understand, take decisions about whatever I'm whichever field I am doing, because I'm used to it. I'm used to taking call for myself. I'm used to exploring. I'm used to finding ways to do things. Yeah. Somebody was asking, how do I learn science and maths? I would say, if your child wants to learn science and maths, you shouldn't be asking the question. The child will find a way to learn what the child wants to learn. If the child wants to learn maths, I am very sure the child will find a way. If the child wants to learn embroidery, the child will find the way. If the child wants to learn horse riding, the child will find a way. Let the child become responsible for what he or she wants to do, and then we support him. And that is the beauty of it. When they start kind of going out and figuring out how they want to learn, what they want to do, then by the time they reach so-called career age, they are already ready to face the real world. In fact, this real world question is very interesting because it's actually the other way around. I would say open learners are ready for real world far before than the school or the college goers are, because they are not used to anything real world. They're not used to taking decisions. They're not used to planning. They're not used to figuring out their way. They are the ones who are lost. I remember in my first job I was lost, although I had a nice degree. But these children are all the time living in the real world. They are going and meeting people. They are figuring out ways. They are doing things based on their thinking. So they are the ones who are the real explorers. So by the time they reach that age, they're already in the real world. It's for the others to mingle with them. They are already there. In fact, you wouldn't even recognize a unschooler or a open learner saying that he's any different. He's just there as part of the real world, and he or she knows how to go around it. That's the most beautiful aspect, at least as I see about open learning, that they are ready to take on anything. In fact, I will give you an example. 13 of our group went to from Bangalore. They went to Gulmarg in Jammu and Kashmir to learn skiing. And they went to this Indian Institute of Skiing, which is run completely military style. very rigid, with a lot of rules, with the instructor shouting like, or literally abusing you without using abusive words, and so on. Now, you would say, how would these open learners will mingle? But believe me, the situation was completely different there. Our children just went in the flow of the whole thing, and they thoroughly enjoyed their course. The children who had come from the regular schools were cribbing. Why are they shouting at us? Why are they doing like this? But these children were not cribbing. You know why? They completely merged with this rule system, and you can't wear slippers for dinner. You have to come dressed properly for even for dinner, and so on. You know why? Because there was so much wanting to learn what they had gone there for. They wanted to learn skiing. They knew they had got traveled all the way for going skiing. They wanted to do it 100%. They didn't want to. They were not bothered by the rules and all that. They just synced in with them. So it's interesting how these children, because they look at anything that they are taking up, because they have taken the decision, they look at it very differently, and they're ready to get along with things just because they see a value in it. And they're not there because somebody told them to be there. That's the big difference, I would say. So it doesn't matter whether their numbers are less, whether their numbers are more, because they're just ready to merge with anything. In fact, children who, open learners who go back into schooling or get join back colleges also are quickly able to adapt, because they know they have come here for a reason. That's the way at least I look at it. That's the way I've experienced it, and not just I look at it through the children that we have worked with.
Ratnesh, a slightly different perspective. See, with the freedom that the children get to explore different subjects, okay, probably they will jump from subject to subject to subject. I mean, from whatever age they are.
Sure. Can I rephrase it as interest to interest to interest?
Yeah,
because
okay.
These guys are not really going by any subjects, right?
Right. Sorry.
Right.
Interest to interest to interest. Yeah.
Absolutely.
See, I've met many people who have cleared degrees. At the end of the degree, they don't know what they really want to do.
Yeah.
Right? They're doing a degree for the sake of it.
Yes.
And if you're talking about their life's true calling, yeah, sometimes they know what they really want to do 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, maybe even 15, 20 years down the line.
Sure.
Right? So
sure.
they get that, that maturity or their calling at a certain age.
Yeah.
Now, when we are letting children explore interests, okay, and they're not mature enough, let's say they explore all kinds of topics.
Yeah. Wait. Just leave out this mature enough, because that's a very, I would not say they are not matured enough. So we'll come back to that. Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
Okay. But how, see, we have not gone through this whole process.
Yeah.
How do we know that they get to meet their life's calling at some point of time earlier than the people who have, see, we have not gone through this, right?
Sure. Okay. So let me quickly respond to that. First of all, if you don't think of it in terms of that one has to meet one's calling, one can continue to have a life of interest to interest. I know so many people who are changing their interest even in 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, changing their professions, right? Somebody here left engineering, is now baking, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. So let's not look at it as that all children and all human beings should get a particular one calling. Some of us are like that, who like one thing and pursue that. Some of us just keep on hopping from interest to interest their whole life. And it's absolutely perfectly fine to do that. At least that's how I look at it, right? The second thing is, they are not immature at every age. They know what they are doing, why they are doing. They look at it in different ways, very fresh perspective as compared to our very, you can say, staid way of looking at life. Which is why they are able to perceive that, yes, this is something I want to do more. This is something I want to do more, if they want to deep dive into it. So children are able to decide and deep dive into one area if that is what they really like. So I have examples of 14, 15, 16, even 13, 12-year-olds who are already knowing what interests they want to go deep into, whether it's, as I was giving the example of stock or cinematography or photography or cars and automobiles, football, writing, journalism, and so on, meaning there are so many of those. And I also have enough examples of children who went deep into something for a couple of years. Then they said, yeah, this is good, but I want to go somewhere else. And then they spend time there for a few years, and then they moved on to something else. And maybe finally settled on one of the things, or even went on to continue, exploring many, many things. One example is my daughter. She's 22. She still has a lot of interest. She continues to explore different things. And I think she's having a great time, right? Shifting from interest to interest, even at this age. And I talk to her, they say, continue this whole of your life, enjoy your life, because whatever seems to be your interest, you seem to completely thoroughly enjoy it. And what more do we want from life? So by itself, jumping from interest to interest is, I would say, not a problem. And there is no hurry to find it. It is not that they need to find this interest, even if they have to find one interest at the age of 13 or 15 or 20 or 30 or 40. Whenever they find that calling, that's good enough. And that I'm saying for all children, whether they are school-going children or non-school-going children. In fact, school-going children tend to have that pressure because they need to choose a particular, stream. So they are more pressurized. I need to choose science versus commerce versus, so that kinds of put pressure at a very young age. At 15 or 16, it starts putting pressure, which I think is not fair to a child. At 15, 16, many of us hardly know what we want to do. An open life would be much more interesting. Yeah, Andrea, you want to share something? I see a raised hand.
Hi, Jinder here, Elaine's father.
Yeah.
So actually we were trying to explore it for a year and see if it is really working out for our kid, and we like to switch back if it is not working out. So
sure.
So what is your suggestion? So if we take a 1 year break and try this out, when she's getting back to the normal education, in case if it is not working out, how she will cope up with that?
Oh, absolutely no problem. In fact, I put that under consider. That can be one reason to consider, because you can always switch back. I have so many examples, and I can give you contact numbers of children who have gone back to conventional schooling, or after school, after open learning till a certain age, gone to college, or even examples of children who have gone to conventional schooling, come back to open learning, and so on and so forth. Please don't worry about that. It's not at all difficult to switch back and going back to conventional at any stage, whether the child is 7, 8, 9, or whether the child is 8, 9, 10 standard, which means 15, 16, or at a college level. Just don't bother about that.
Okay. So the children will not feel a big gap if they are switching back and forth, right, for a year, and they will not find much difficulty.
Two things. Let the child lead. If it's the child decision, then child will have no problem. If this decision is imposed on the child, then you have all the problems. You know what I mean? So if it's the child decision, then it's just a matter of, obviously, if I'm moving from anything to anything, it requires an effort. Even a change of city, even a change of house requires an effort, right? So any change requires effort. So I'm not saying it will be effortless. I'm saying the child will be able to cope with that very easily. In fact, cope is hard. It's a very strong word. I would say adjust and merge into the new, whichever new environment the child has moved in. So please don't worry about that at all. And so as I said, two things. First is, it should be the child interest. The second thing is, the child needs to prepare for something, right? If I know that I have to go for a trip, I need to prepare. I have to pack my suitcase. In the same ways, if I know I have to switch back to, let's say, a school, or after doing open learning till 15, 16 years, go to a college, then I need to little prepare myself. Prepare not just in terms of subjects, but also prepare myself little mentally, emotionally, that, okay, this would be a different place. Yeah, just like the skiing example I was giving. So if the children are prepared, okay, I'm going to a skiing course, there will be rules there, they will be strict there, they will be shouting at you for the smallest of the thing, then I'm prepared for it. Then I'm ready to take it because I know I want this for some reason.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Which is why I've put this point in the consider category, because I think this is one reason. Absolutely. We call it gap year, where you switch out from conventional schooling for a year, see how it goes for you, how it goes for your child. And if it's not working out, switch back to schooling. Yeah, somebody else on mic, Jagrav, if that's the... If you want to share something, sorry, we are not able to hear you.
No, sir. No. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Right. Let me go back here. Okay. Prashant.
Check that the amount of time that this open learning versus the regular schooling, is it any different from what is expected from the parents?
Sorry, I'm not sure I got your question. Can you rephrase it?
Is it something that I'm just understanding from your experience? Does this open learning demand more time from the parents towards their children? Because I mean, the parents might still be in the regular stream of the job, and their schedule might be tight and everything. But does the amount of time investment from the parents is any different between open learning versus just the...
Okay. So Prashant, I let me answer it a little differently. When people ask me why do open learning, one of the first thing I say, yeah, benefits to the child, okay, but benefit to the parent. And the big benefit to the parent is you get an amazing time with your child. See, what happens is in conventional system, you think the whole education is outsourced, right? You don't really have to do much, maybe check once in a while how your test scores and stuff like that, right? But when you are doing open learning, now suddenly you are co-passengers. You are together. The amount of interactions, the amount of discussions, the amount of time that you spend together is just too amazing. It is like the best gift you are not giving to your child, you're giving to yourself. So I would say, why do open learning when you can't spend time with the child? I would just say just the opposite. I would say, go ahead, reduce your work and enjoy your child more. Enjoy the family more, play with him more, do things with him more. If he is into robotics, you get into robotics and try to build with him, or at least make a video of him or laugh with him and jump with him or whatever, or her or whatever. Are you getting me? To me, the open learning is so much more beautiful because of this simple thing like called as family time. I think that to me is the star, if I can put that in some way. And it is not a matter of, will I need to spend more time? Well, that is up to you. If you don't want to spend more time, don't spend more time. If you want to spend more time, you spend more time. But I would say, why not spend more time? Finally, the child is with you for you to enjoy with him or her and go on journeys, travels, doings, and lots of discussions and reflections and planning together and, okay, let's do this way, let's do that way, and so on. Because everything is open for discussion. Isn't that beautiful? I would say this is one of the top reasons why people should consider open learning.
I mean, again, one criteria to have this, this beautiful thing would be that you should be debt free. If you have loans on your head, then trying to have your focused change from work to this, very independent life or a very open life might not something that you might be able to afford.
No, I don't want to put it like that. I mean, yeah, you see, I'm not saying that you have to devote all your time to the child and you have to suddenly sit at home. No. You can continue work. You can continue your office work if you have office work or whatever other work you have. But don't look at it this way that, okay, oh, now I have to spend more time. To me, that's not a burden. That is the joy part of it. Even if I spend 10 minutes, now the 10 minutes can be very value adding, very rich, because we are doing a rich discussion about what I did today and what all is enjoyable and what else do I want to explore. Not just about what is the marks, what is the teacher's complaint, and so on. Are you getting me, Prashant? So I'm not trying to say that you have to leave your job and leave everything and you can't take on debt and so on. No. Not a pessimistic picture. but I want to show the beautiful, the beauty of it, the beautiful side of it. And that should be the encouragement to jump into it. So all the parents here, if you want to ever get into open learning, get into it for your reasons as much as for the child reasons. Yeah, whether you are able to spend 1 hour every day with the child or 5 hours every day of the child, it's not the quantity I'm talking about. It's the approach, it's the outlook, it's the quality I'm talking about. And open learning is always for the family. It's not your child who can do open learning alone. In the sense, mentally, you are there with the child. And that has to be on a daily basis. And doesn't that become so beautiful? In fact, some people say, what if after later on the child says, why did you take a decision? I said that situation doesn't arise because you are talking about it every day. You're discussing, how are you doing this? How are you liking this? And so on and so forth. And I'm sure that much time you will have for your child. Otherwise, what's the point? Yep. So this is a big plus. if ever I could market, open learning, this would be my tagline: joy for parents. Yeah, more thoughts either in consider or not consider. We got 2 more points on consider. In fact, 3 more points. In fact, let me also touch upon, somebody said, if you want to specialize in something. So again, one of the ways to specialize is to go for a specialized degree. But the other way to specialize into anything is to just do that, as in from various sources, especially internships, especially going to experts in that field. And that is amazing. I was just, that girl that I was talking to you about, who is into movie making, she's now working with a director at 15 years. I think that's amazing. What better experience can she get when an actual film production is where she is involved with? However she does that, whatever she learns from there, but that's real learning with a director, with an actual production of a feature film at 15 years. Isn't that amazing? I would say, so that's the specialization part. And you can actually specialize in any area. I know of astrophysics. There is a Bangalore Astronomical Society. If you go into that, there are people who are deep into astrophysics in Bangalore Astronomical Society, and not all of them are from science background, but they are deep into it because they wanted to go deep into it. Yeah. So whether you take about astrophysics, if you need references, I can give you references of names of people in Bangalore Astronomical Society, the BAS. But the point is, meaning open learning allows you to do both, keep jumping from interest to interest, or go deep into one area. That's your choice. More thoughts, more questions?
Ratnesh, a slight different question about Aarohi X. Can I ask?
Sure, please.
Okay. During the course of their learning, if a child wants to specialize in the same point about science, maths, okay, and the child wants to get a degree in 10th or NIOS or IGCSE or something like that. From the point of view, and considering Corona right now, we don't know when the schools will restart. From the point of view of this degree in Aarohi X, what kind of support is available to the child and to the parent?
Okay. I wish you had asked for, if my child wants to do Embroidery, what support is available? I wish you had asked, my child wants to play guitar, what support will be available?
No, I don't mean that way. I mean,
I mean that way. I mean, we are still stuck somewhere. And I want you to rethink about that. Why are we so worried about this 10th, this 12th? We made a monster out of it. And now we are worried about it. We are living out of fear. We are living out of anxieties. And I really want to address that first before I answer your question. It is not that the help will not be or the support will not be available. Yeah, I'm more talking about life is much, much, much more. There are millions of things we can do. Why are we so stuck with that? Because when we get unstuck with that, that just looks like one small hurdle which the child can jump. If tomorrow the child wants to give 5 subjects examination through an iOS, the child can probably say in 3 of them, I don't even need a help. In one of that, dad and mom, you can help me. And maybe in one, I need external help. Or maybe in 2, I need external help. The child will find his way because that's just a small thing. See, if we make a mountain out of an iOS or 10th or 12th monster, rather, not a mountain, then we are going to get all kind of tensed up even much before we reach there. But if we think of it as just one of the small things, if my child needs to give, he will just give it. And I've got, so many examples. I'll give you an example of a child called Adarsh. He is into cooking. He like cooks from morning till evening. He can cook from morning to evening for 50 people. Like that, he cooks. He's amazing, right? But for some reason, he decided that he wants to give 10th and 12th and get into Hotel Management Institute. So we offered him that, do you want to really go there or you want to go the open learning route? He said, no, I want to give. So his parents didn't want him to, but he decided that he wants to give 10, 12th and go into hotel man. It was his decision. We said, okay. And then last year, so he decided this last year, just before Corona, right? And then he started preparing for his 10th. Yeah. And he realized few subjects he can crack himself, few subjects he needs help. A few subjects even need professional help, in the sense the community families could not give him that kind of a dedicated support. So he went for online tutoring on one of the subjects. And then he prepared for it and he gave it. But it was so matter of fact. Whenever we talked to him, he said, yeah, uncle, I'm preparing, chill. So at any point of time, it was not like a big thing, neither in his family nor in his mind. It was just one of the things he needs to give so that he can finish this 10th standard examination and get back to his cooking. And then again, he will go for his 12th whenever he reaches that stage. So my invitation is, let's first start looking at it that way, and looking at then thinking, hey, what if my child wants to learn anything? Will the community support? Let me ask you the question other way around, Nityananda. If any child needs a support, and let's assume you are part of our community and you have the expertise in that area, would you say, yes, I will support you, dear child? Anybody else's child, not your child. Will you do that?
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. You got the answer. The community is not full of any professional. Nobody is earning out of it. It's families who are doing this journey together. So we are all supporting each other depending on who needs what. And we may not either directly support or indirectly support by giving pointers to a resource, pointers to a person, pointers to a course, pointers to an apprenticeship, pointers towards job opportunities or internship opportunities, and so on. So the support can come in so many different beautiful forms, including one-to-one mentoring, guiding, which may happen simply because another parent has already walked that path, that career, and knows and can guide.
Still pursuing the same point. Okay, I'll change my this thing about the interest. Okay, let's take guitar or artwork or something. Okay,
I like it.
Is there how does the support come in Aarohi? So I just put up a point in a discussion forum and somebody volunteers, or they guide how to go about it, or how does it happen?
Okay, good that you asked this question. How does it happen? Okay, let me ask you, suppose, Nityananda, you want to learn something today at this age. How do you go about learning it? Something new. Let's say, do you know guitar, Nityananda? Can you be on mic, please, with me?
Sorry, there was some breakage in this. There was something vibrating.
Okay. So just be on the mic with me.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So do you know how to play guitar?
No.
No. Okay. Suppose today you decided I want to play guitar. Suddenly I'm got interested in guitar.
Yeah, it's one of my long-term goals. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So let's say you decided today. Now, what would you do? How would you go about learning guitar? What would you do the first thing?
I would probably enroll in one of the online classes given the situation today.
Okay, great. So I'm just saying, just imagine a child also doing that. So now you are deciding that I want to do an online class. Maybe there are some tutorials on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why not a child can decide this on his own? Why does it even need anybody's help? He would say, Mom, Dad, I'm enrolling in guitar online classes, just like Nityananda uncle would do, and just get me a guitar or maybe even a second-hand guitar. There you go. He kicks off. Now his interest starts developing. So imagine Nityananda 6 months down the line, he has learned a fair bit of guitar online. Now he wants to go deeper into it. What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just continue.
Yeah, let's say online courses and all that level you have done. Now you want little more deeper, more expertise in guitaring. Now what would you do?
Probably look for a one-to-one tutor.
There you go. And how would you look for one-to-one tutor?
Yeah, just asking somebody, Google, whatever.
There you go. Exactly the same path the child will take. The child can ask the community. Anybody knows a good one-to-one tutor for guitar? The child can ask in social media. The child can Google. The child can do all of that. And if the child, let's assume the child is too small, if you think the child is too small, obviously the parents are there to support the child. And the rest of the community is there to support the child. As you very nicely mentioned, yeah, somebody can just put up a request. Hey, anybody knows any tutor? I'm now into guitaring. So it's not something very different. We are not living in an artificial planet. We are living in an absolutely real world where actually all of us in this call right now are all open learners, aren't we? Aren't we learning whatever we feel like learning? Aren't we doing what we want to do? Or at least where we want to spend our day? So we are all open learners by definition. And exactly as how we'll behave, that is how a 7 or a 10 or a 15-year-old will do. We'll look for resources, we'll look for connections, we'll look for collaborations. Exactly. And the family and in our case, the community will all support it. And isn't that beautiful? It's not just 4 or 5 people, but imagine 30, 20, 30, 40 families who are there to support you. That becomes interesting. In fact, it's not just to support you, but before that, so much exposure because somebody's learning something, somebody's doing something, somebody's sharing something. When I see 40 different people doing different things, I say, wow, I can also do something. I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. I can do guitaring.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, Parul, I would say, Parul is saying in the chat, I'll read out. She's saying open learning is beautiful, but implementation require community support with physical meetings or resource guidance from other parents. What if it's not available? Parul, I would invite you to look at the whole world. So let's start with our home. Your home, all your relatives, all your friends are your community. They are all resource guides. They are all there to support you. Then start looking at your neighborhood area. Okay, we say, look at 1 kilometer around you, you will find shops, you will find neighbors, you will find people who are doing all kinds of things. And believe me, if you go there and say, my child is interested in this, they will be more than happy to help you. Then look at 10 kilometers or 100 kilometers from your home. Your city, I'm sure your city is full of people, resources, lots and lots of people doing lots and lots of different things. And in today's world of information, you can just get to know them. And they look at all of them as your community members. Why do they have to be part of Aarohi community only? Why can't everybody be my community? People were saying cooperation, relationships. I would say cooperation is all out there. People say competition is out there. I would say, sorry. You want to see competition out there? There's competition out there. You want to see cooperation out there? There is cooperation out there. When I get into the bus, most people think, I want to get first because I'll get a seat. When I get into the bus, we say, how can we all get into the bus? Well, finally, all of us get into the bus. The beauty is how you look at it. So whether you look at the bus or your child or the people around you, the community, the resource guidance, everything is Parul is available. We just have to look at them like that. A man or a woman walks down your street, look at them as a community member. Don't look at them as somebody I don't know. Just go ahead and say, hey, what do you do? Can my child talk to you about it? Or can we both talk to you about it? You seem to be a gardener. Tell us about gardening. You seem to be an insurance agent. Tell us about insurance. Oh, you seem to be a chef. Tell us about cooking. Oh, you seem to be this. Whatever. Everybody is a beautiful resource. The whole universe is your resource. Have you thought of life like that?
Yeah, I have.
Then it's all yours. Now, all you need to do is go ahead and embrace it. That is what open learning is all about. It's about looking at the world openly. And yes, Aarohi community is there. I'm not denying that. So communities like Aarohi are there. You can connect with Aarohi or any other such communities and take the benefit of that, definitely. Okay. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but that was my thoughts. And also my experience.
Yes, definitely.
Sorry, your voice is breaking, Parul. I'm not able to hear you. Okay, more thoughts and not consider. What else is making you not consider? I'm not trying to convince here anybody. I'm just sharing my perspective, my experience with the children that I've gathered.
Yes, totally.
Sorry, Parul, your voice is still breaking. I couldn't get you. Maybe you can just type it out. Right, so let's look at what else can stop us from not considering. Yeah, if more families, more support is your not consider, then definitely one option is communities like Aarohi. Different cities have homeschooling or unschooling groups. Those are communities. You can start a group. That can be a community. You can be part of Aarohi. That is one option. There are many more like that across the country. If you need help, we can provide you. You can connect with me one-to-one. I'll type down, you can WhatsApp Aditi on this number, and if you are looking for more families in your city, we can help you if that is what is your requirement. But I would say don't worry about it too much, because you can always start a community. You can also connect with people and form your own community. Yeah. What else? What else is under not consider, or what else is under consider? Brinda, you were asking, are you still there? You were asking some questions at the beginning. If she's still around, I don't know. I don't know if we covered that or not. Yes, Archana is talking about unlearning as the major reason. Absolutely. Unlearning, relearning, there is so much fun. Unlearning for us, Archana, and free learning for the child. Okay, we are nearing almost 6:30. shall we take one last question or thought anybody has? Or we can close.
Yes, this is Sakila here. I just have a few cents from me. All this 1 year, I'd been schooling my son through a regular school. And since it was the lockdown period, we have been doing all the open learning these days. I had to force my son to learn something sometimes, and he also feels so forced, and it was I felt that was not the real learning. And that's why by end of this year we thought we should put him somewhere. And yeah, last year we had contacted you, but this year we thought, okay, we should try open learning. All this 1 year of struggle along with my son is what made me think that this is not learning.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Also, see, to support open learning, we are also doing, so sometimes parents say, okay, so now my child is at home and me and my child want to do open learning, or we also call it self-directed learning, where the child will direct himself or herself. Now, how do I do this? The child gets lost, and the just day or the week just passes away and there is not much gain. So initially, sometimes some of us struggle, although I would say that struggle itself is so beautiful, because from there we evolve as open learners. But just to help, just to support parents, what we are doing is starting as early as 6th April, we are doing a program of 8 sessions called self-directed learning at home. That is just to help. That is a program for parents, not for children. And that program will little guide you as a parent on how you can kind of started off on this journey of self-directed learning or open learning, by giving you guidance as to how do you work with your child, what role you play, what role child plays, how the child takes the responsibility of himself or herself, whether the child is 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, that doesn't matter. The age doesn't matter, but what really matters is how we can now let the child lead himself, now let the child take responsibility of self. So how does that work? That's the program that we are about to start on from 6th, that is the coming Tuesday. So if any one of you is interested, just look up this program. It is going to be 2 sessions in a week, and it's called SDL, self-directed learning at home. So that's the link for the program. It's obviously for parents to understand their role and how to support their child. Because even if you are part of Aarohi X, or even if the child is coming to Aarohi, finally, the Aarohi is not important. What is really important is that the family is now working on open learning. And that is where we need to be able to, kind of support and, do the open learning journey with the child together. Yeah. So that's where this program comes in. So yeah, that's a little bit of about the program that we are about to start. Okay. If right now we don't have any more questions, then maybe we can pause here, with the assurance that at least if you are considering open learning, and if you have questions, doubts, if you need help, support, we are all the time there. So feel free to connect with us through our website or through the numbers. We even have an open learning group, so you can be part of that on Telegram, and so on. So feel free to connect with us, and we are there to support you. Whether you're part of Aarohi or not, it doesn't matter. Since you're part of open learning, since you want to explore that, we are there to all the time support you. So do that, and yeah, bye-bye for now. And we can continue to interact both on the Saturday webinars as well as whenever you feel like. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.